So how are we to understand what we hear or read? How are we to understand? Now, I've been speaking here for more than an hour already. Now, here's my question. Have we understood each other so far? All right? Can you imagine that? We haven't talked about the principles of how to understand, and yet, you already understood. Ang galing, kapatid. Uwi na tayo, tapos na seminar. Magagaling to. Naintindihan na. You know what that means? What that means is, the moment somebody is speaking, ikaw na nakikinig, you immediately go into the process of interpretation. That means, friends, the principles of interpretation are built in. It's not some arbitrary rules that somebody would form. It's already inside. In fact, what we're about to show you, we're only describing what's already inside. So these are natural processes. It's already inside the process of interpretation. So what are the ground rules for interpretation? Okay, in your notes, the first blank there in your notes, page 12, the principles of interpretation are not invented or learned. They're not arbitrary rules. Nobody can say, you know, we have our own hermeneutics. Hermeneutics is the same for everybody. Whether you're Pentecostal, Baptist, Mormon, whatever, hermeneutics is the same. All right? And so these are the set of principles. They're not invented or learned. They are simply descriptions. Write down the word descriptions. They are simply descriptions of the way people think and read when they seek to understand the meaning of any writing. So the book, the Bible as a book, as a human book, to understand it, we just need to describe what's actually happening in our brains. So there are three elements in order for communication to occur. Number one, there's the speaker or writer. In the case of the Bible, somebody wrote that particular portion. And then, there's the message. What he wrote down or what he has spoken. And then the third element for communication to occur is there should be somebody listening or reading. Merong hearer or reader. So for communication to occur, those three must be present. Merong speaker or writer, may message, the actual words, or written, or said, and then the hearer and reader. Now, here's the question we need to research in seminary. The question is, where does meaning reside? Where does meaning reside? Does the meaning reside with the writer, or the message itself that he wrote, or with the one reading it? Where does the meaning reside? Saan? Do you think? The writer, the actual message that he wrote, or the one reading it? Saan yung meaning matatagpuan? Okay. So, you have there in your manual, the last 10 pages there. Later on, we'll just give that as an assignment. So, there you have the author. Okay? The author wrote something, nandiyan yung text, and then tayo yung reader. Alright? We are the one reading it. So, for example, that manual. You have there the manual, you read the manual, and there's something that you don't understand. What are some of your options in order to understand it? You need to what? You can ask the author. Okay? You can call me, but no long distance, please. You know, you can call me in Canada through Viber or through... So you can ask me because basically I wrote that manual, so I would know exactly what I meant when I wrote that there, put that there. All right? So that's the case with that manual. But then in the case of the Bible, may problema tayo. If there's something you don't understand from 1 Corinthians, so what options do you have in order to understand what you don't understand in 1 Corinthians? You go into the spirit of the glass and you say, Apostle Paul, ano po ba talaga ibig sabihin nito sinulat ninyo? You know, you cannot make that as an option. The problem is, the Apostle Paul is already dead. So where do you go in order to understand what you don't understand? Friends, what needs to happen is we need to go back to the word of the author, get as much information about the author, about the recipients of the letter, why he wrote it, where did he write it from, you know, what are those circumstances that made him write the letter. We need to get as much information as we can get, and then come up with the best meaning that we can that we can derive from those information. And that's why in all my seminars, I always tell the students, do not be dogmatic about everything. We cannot be dogmatic about everything. Now, obviously, there are some things that are already settled. We know that Jesus Christ is both human and divine. We know that salvation is by grace through faith alone. We're settled with that. But in some other areas, just allow people to have, a different idea because the amount of information that we have is not so clear yet. For example, the second coming of the Lord Jesus Christ. Now that is something that we already settled. He's coming back. But whether it's pre-trib, or mid-trib, or post-trib, now you can gather scholars for each view. And they have their own, passages to back up their position. We don't have to be dogmatic about some of these things. What is so important if you really believe Jesus Christ is coming again is the way you live your life. Are you ready for His coming? I don't care if you have the right theology, but if your life is a mess, then it won't really mean anything to anybody. And so, we need to go back to the author, and as I've said, pages 20 to 30, you have there who makes up the rules. As an assignment, you just read that. The second to the last page, there are discussion questions there. Second to the last page at the back, based on that article, if you can just fill up those questions so that tomorrow morning we can just go through that very quickly. All right? So just for an assignment, who makes up the rules? Okay, just take the time, just 10 pages, 10 or 11 pages.